This presentation was prepared by Michael Godinez, Catherine Pearson, and Emily Whitmarsh. We began with two goals in mind. The first, the short term, to improve student test scores, and the second, the long term, to ensure our students are able to take the knowledge they gain in their K-12 careers and apply them to real-world situations. In order to do so, we must ourselves understand how to apply theories and trends to our curricula. Moving forward, we need to differentiate between theories and trends. An educational theory is an acceptable principle or body of principles that helps to explain certain phenomena and is followed as a basis of action. You can think of this as the foundation of a house. A trend is a gradual change in a general direction. Trends can be affected by theories, legislation, and political and social circumstances. Trends are oftentimes subsets of theories, but as can be seen here, trends can be affected by theories, policies, and political, civil, and social movements. For example, many of the trends used today are affected by policy regarding test taking. These policies have affected how teachers design their curricula and how they are to be evaluated. We have identified 3 different theories that, used together, can help students meet both our short-term and long-term goals. These are behaviorism, constructivism, and connectivism. Behaviorism focuses on objective observations of behavior, where learning is dependent upon environmental conditions. This theory reigned over education from around 1913 until the turn of the century, and its major contributors were John Watson, Ivan Pavlov, Edward Thorndike, and B.F. Skinner. Behaviorists rely on reinforcements within the classroom, both positive and negative. For example, a good or bad test score is a reinforcement of good or bad study habits. Feedback is delivered relatively quickly and allows students to process subjective feedback. The highlight of this type of classroom is that there is flexibility. Students can do either group work or solo work and still receive objective feedback. Students learn not only from their own behaviors, but from the behaviors of others. Positive habits can be identified and replicated in other students for the increased probability of positive outcomes. Independent and online learning rely on behaviorism in that students cannot progress with material, which is positive reinforcement, until they have mastered older material, which is positive behavior. The next theory, constructivism, is based on the work of many theorists, Piaget and Vygotsky being 2 of them. This theory began replacing behaviorism in the 1990s as part of the authentic learning movement and suggests that students construct knowledge based on their own experiences. In this classroom, students are active, reflective, and work collaboratively. Being engaged in the process is important because students are constructing the knowledge, not just receiving knowledge from the teacher. Being reflective allows students to reevaluate and self-assess based on new information and feedback. Students are active participants in activities, which are typically hands-on and based on inquiry. Students break down these activities scientifically, investing themselves by taking ownership to deeper understand content. This improves learning outcomes by teaching students how to understand whole concepts and how to work in a problem-based environment. This also allows students to apply their constructed knowledge to new situations. On top of constructing content knowledge, students also work on social, emotional, and interpersonal skills by working collaboratively. 2 trends that find their origins within constructivism are authentic learning and problem-based learning. Authentic learning is a movement that recognizes a gap in the tasks learners see in school and those that they encounter in the real world. For example, students are usually taught the algorithm for the division of numbers and become proficient in its use, but struggle to recognize when to use division in a situation problem. Like authentic learning, problem-based learning focuses on learners solving real-world problems. This is all in an effort to improve critical thinking and problem-solving skills in learners. The final trend, connectivism, founded by George Siemens and Stephen Downes, examines how learners create networks of knowledge on a global scale. This theory is largely influenced by technology and encourages the exchange of knowledge through peer groups. Learning in connectivism is cyclical and constantly updated. The learner uses the network to gain knowledge, constructs that knowledge subjectively, then rejoins the network with new input based on new knowledge. The knowledge within the network is essential to gaining understanding. When it comes to learning outcomes in connectivism, learners gain understanding by questioning their former perceptions and building on or altering that construct. Knowledge input is constantly updated, and learners can learn through a global network, accessing places they never would have been before. Trends associated with connectivism largely involve technology. Students can use online resources to showcase their knowledge in a variety of ways and to build upon their former knowledge. There is also now massive open online courses where students can learn completely online. When trying to achieve both the short-term goal of improving test scores and the long-term goal of deepening our students' understanding for life beyond their K-12 careers, we must keep in mind the difference between knowledge and skill, and understanding and application. Knowledge is what you can intellectually obtain. Skills are easily taught and absorbed in the classroom and are often tested using assessments. We have to focus on increasing our students' knowledge base and sharpening their skills for our short-term goal, but using both their skills and knowledge to grow understanding and application. Understanding is taking knowledge and pairing it with a subjective self, much like constructivism. Skills can be applied to numerous tasks because of a deeper understanding of the knowledge obtained. Constructivism, behaviorism, and connectivism are just three of many modern theories that can grow knowledge and skills into understanding and application, and this can be applied to any subject area. Students are able to take objective observations, personal experience, and a network of knowledge to transform what they are gaining knowledge of in the classroom into understanding that can be applied outside of the classroom in the real world, including the workforce after schooling has ended. So ways to spread this and apply it to curriculum and instruction are by hosting seminars at least twice a semester to keep our teachers in the loop with the best practices in these theories. We could implement activities that fall in line with at least one of these theories within the classroom. A good resource would be maybe using these seminars to give best practices and then have the teachers come up with a plan to implement maybe something they learned from that seminar into one of their lesson plans for the following week. A third is to use outside resources to assess students to be sure they are meeting the requirements as well as understanding what they're learning. This is where the school board and administration would be a big asset. It's important for us to go into the classroom and see what teachers are doing and see where our students might need a little more help. All students learn differently and all teachers teach differently. So maybe we could go in and try to find a way to meet the teachers and students in the middle. We should also be open and willing to try the methods that can lead to the best results and greater understanding of material on the part of the students. So it requires everyone from teachers to administration to the school board to be open and flexible with inviting new activities and new theories into their lessons. With anything new, there are usually objections and misconceptions. One of them is, why is this any better than what teachers are currently doing within the classroom? It's important to know that we're not trying to replace what teachers are currently doing, but trying to find a foundation for them, and these theories offer a foundation for teachers to grow on. So we can use some of the best practices and some of the concepts we learn from these theories and apply them to what we're already doing. For example, a whole class lecture can be based on a constructivist standpoint, provided that students are involved in constructing the knowledge rather than just receiving it. So maybe we add a couple of activities into our lecture that makes it more interactive for our students. This allows them to construct the knowledge rather than just let it soak in. How will we get teachers on board with this new method? Again, we don't push this on them as we're going to change everything, but we just want to offer some new insight to the foundation of our house, of our schoolhouse. It's important to build our curriculum with the foundation underneath it. And we would just encourage teachers to add some of the things they learn from maybe some of the seminars that explain some of these theories into their lesson plans. And then how would we measure the success of our students? For a long time, we've been teaching to the test, and if you look at the national report card, it's not doing a whole lot in actually increasing the knowledge base of our students, and it's not helping them understand that knowledge so that when they leave their K-12 career and go to college or they go into the workforce, they're not really understanding what some of the knowledge was that they learned. They're not understanding how to apply what they learned. For the division example from earlier, they know how to do division. They don't know when to identify when they do division. So it's important that we still do our tests and we still make sure our students can increase their test scores. But that can also happen when they deeply understand what they're learning. So having our administration go in and our school board go in to help fill in those gaps, to identify some of the problem areas, or to praise the teachers on what they're doing, that can be a very big asset for a curriculum and for a classroom. Thank you for your time and your patience. We hope that you will allow this proposal to sink in and maybe open new doors for our young learners.